here we go into our final segment. We're gonna be talking called Best Guess. All right. Right now, right now we're gonna be guesstimating who we think is gonna be the best team this season. We'll probably use this as our prediction segment once CDL weekends drop and tournaments, etc. But for now, we're just gonna do some rampant speculation on who we think is actually gonna be good this year. I'll let you go first, Siege, and then I'll kind of counterpoint that and hit you with who I think.
So let's start off with the most recent winners of the KSN tournament. Los Angeles Thieves with Scrap, Ghosty, Hydra, and Envoy. I think they played really solid. They're aggressive. You have two players that really knows how to put up numbers. Ghosty's a really solid main AR. He has one of the best communications in the league. And then Envoy just knows how to fill in SMG role as a complementary piece. So, but that's how I view LAT.
Well, I don't really know what I can counter in that. I've said this before, and I think it's maybe true. Although I was kind of changed a little bit seeing that K-Sun thing. I saw Envoy even running an AR most of the time. When I think Scrap was running an SMG or something weird. But yeah, so I think I see a leadership gap here on LAT. You got Envoy, but I mean Scrap is definitely everyone knows what Scrap brings. Hydra's talented. Envoy, like I said, obviously bringing some element there, and Ghosty super talented. He's like a human UAV. However, I think this team can get checked pretty easy. Just kind of an opinion of mine. I don't think they have the cool element that Ultra had through Insight and Cleaning. So I'm going to be looking at that, and I think that might, cause some issues down the line, especially if they're not getting crazy good results like they are expecting being the super team. I think super teams have that significant pressure kind of out the gate, where Optic has a little bit of trust in what they are because they know they've won with it. They know each other. I think that's why I'm going with Optic. Now, I don't know if they'll win champs again, but I do think they'll be the best team throughout the year from consistency basis and all that. I mean, there's really, with no changes to the squad, I don't see how they're going to get any worse. It's a Treyarch game, so maybe you can say Kenny's not. I mean, Kenny got second at BO4, so. But Cold War was probably his worst game in recent memory.
I think individually he was really good.
Yeah, that's true. But also,
the cast was
way more up and downs than usual. With Kenny at least. And then you got Bruce shoots straight shots. He's probably the most dynamic player with Omni movement. And Pred, I mean, as long as Pred's consistent this year, like I said, I just don't see. Maybe they don't win at all, but I would be shocked if they weren't in a way what FaZe was in Cold War, maybe in a less dominant. But if they don't win 2 tournaments, I'll be shocked, genuinely.
Well, I think Optic's very I think they're gonna do well around middle of the year again. Because usually the first major is usually it's going to be a toss-up between 3 teams in my mind. The only teams that they can just kind of have a good shot at winning anything is going to end up being Optic, LAT, and FaZe. I don't really see other teams really competing with them. Unless if there's a roster that happened that I don't know about. You know what I'm saying?
No, not really. I think the Gentlemate / LAGE roster is, I don't know. They're probably going to be pretty bad, I'll be honest with you. Just because Linz is in Hydra, and I don't think Lisa is what he was in MW2. Trying to think of anyone, but nothing comes to mind. There's always like a team that's solid. I think Carolina will be a middle pack team this year, but I mean, it's kind of beside the point. Like we said, top team, best team of the year. I don't see anyone outside of that. We're not neglecting FaZe. I do think FaZe will be good this year. I do think they have more problems than the other two. Obviously, they won EWC, but they got 6th at Champs. Everyone forgets about Champs. EWC was in Saudi Arabia. I'm not taking away from it. That's a lot of money. But I think in a single Olymp tournament, they ran it, but it's completely different. I mean, you can't even put it, like I said, I think it's a solid win. But overall, I see their struggles just kind of sticking around for this year. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, if I've heard, like I was listening to like a few different things, and MC was thinking he was going to get dropped if they didn't win the Saudi Arabia tournament. Like that's what a lot of speculation was around that time, because you had just went through Slasher during MW2 because he dropped our cities, and then you got Draza to replace Slasher to allow MC to run main AR. And there's been certain aspects of that has been a problem for FaZe since Vanguard, with MC's pacing. A lot of people would say is holding FaZe back.
Yeah, but I don't know if I fully agree with that, but hey, I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, at the end of the day, I think they still take one, but I definitely think the main battle is going to be Optic LET, which would be cool. It's been a while since, I mean, I guess you could argue MW2, but not really. Just with that Optic roster. Vanguard a little, but they fell off. Optic obviously fell off pretty hard with the elite stuff, so hey, we'll have to figure out. I mean, that's the fun of the season. I would say in recent memory, there hasn't been many outliers where you're like, whoa, that team's good out of nowhere. Like, good.
Well,
so,
yeah, I don't know. There was Seattle and LAT and Vanguard. They just suddenly started dropping.
Yeah, that might
out of nowhere
this year.
And then it'd be nice to see.
It would be nice to see, because it gets kind of, it's nice as Optic fan, LAT fan, FaZe fan. It's also like, as a fan of the league, it's a little weird. So, I mean, worst case,
it's so top heavy, with how the team's so structured. And I think if we were to have like a set of just 4-man God squads, because you're not going to have 12 4-man God squads. There's not enough talent for that. But as far as, unless if you look into Europe and really find different European players, you might get to like, at this point, you might get to like maybe 6 teams max.
Yeah.
Of like truly talented players and for teams. But you say if we were to like spread the players more into maybe at most duos from the top teams, kind of like had a Toronto Ultra situation right now. With I think that would make teams a lot more interesting, kind of structured more, how teams were back in the day. Yeah. For the most part, aside from,
I mean, you had the Optic
certain dynasties.
Yeah, so I think it's fair to say that it's different, but who knows how long this kind of era will last of just top heavy teams. But I mean, yeah, overall that kind of does it for us.